Good day, YouTube. Today I was wondering on what quality to record this video at. I asked ChatGPT instead of the internet or watch a video on YouTube. And within a few minutes I figured out what exact question I had. You can't do that with any YouTube video. Nobody's going to come back to you in seconds and tell you, hey, why would you set it to 777 or whatever? And you tell them, hey, I'm using NVIDIA in-bank encoder. What preset is the best for to have a crisp 60 FPS video? And it tells you 12K kbps bitrate sounds good, and 320 stereo audio. That's what I have right now. I just changed it. So the intro, the 15-second intro was on my old settings, and this is my new settings. And then I asked him, what should the bitrate be now? Because I was confused. It said bitrate of 4500, and even here mentioned, it's also worth noting that YouTube has recommended maximum bitrate of 4500. And then I asked him, now you're saying 12K. Which bitrate should I use? And then it comes at me with, the video bitrate should be set to 12K if you want higher quality videos. And then my concern was, I want YouTube not to ruin the quality of the footage because it's too high of a bitrate. What recommended bitrate for YouTube videos are given out? And then came back with, for YouTube videos at 1080p, 60 FPS, recommended bitrate is 6 to 12K. YouTube suggests a bitrate of 8K, but you can increase it to 12K if you want higher quality videos. However, keep in mind, higher bitrate means larger files and so on and on. And then it also said that it's important to use a video codec that is compatible with YouTube, such as HV264, to ensure the video is properly counted and playback on a wide range of devices possible. So this pretty much, in 3 minutes, I even got you interested in asking it. This is just GPT 3.5, the legacy, not legacy, but the default, because I'm a Plus member, and I wanted to share this with you guys. Figure out what settings to exactly use for your Streamlabs. You can go into detail. You can be like, I play my games at 300 FPS, such as CSGO. What recording bitrate and settings should I use so the footage doesn't look blurry or choppy on YouTube if I am recording 1080p footage and want YouTube get 60 FPS. So it goes on about if you're playing a game at 300 FPS and you want to record at 1080 60 FPS, you'll need to adjust your settings in OBS, and it gives you the exact bitrate that it thinks would cause minimal artifacts. It tells you, yeah, your video resolution is 1080p, like before, whatever, NVIDIA encoder. And it tells you, if you want crisp footage, just record at a higher bitrate. 50K bitrate is massive. But usually, CSGO matches don't last hours. They just last, a short match lasts about, how long? 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how crazy your team is or how crazy their team is. But in the end, at least you will have a, let's say, baseline to work off of. If you're like, I don't want a 20-minute footage to be bigger than 20 gigabytes. How do I keep it so it, how low should the bitrate be so the file size stays below 15 GB? So if you want to ensure that the 20-minute footage is below 15 GB, it'll tell you to use the normal bitrate that's recommended, because that's the minimum that you can go for if you want lower, slightly smaller footage. And the FPS is set to 60, and audio bitrate is 320. I don't know how my audio sounds on this. I set it to 320. I might go back to 192. what does audio bitrate of 320 do compared to 192? The audio bitrate determines of data used in encoding per second. A higher bitrate means more data is used to encode the audio, resulting in higher audio quality and less compression artifacts. So the audio won't be choppy and stuff, right? This means audio will have more detail and depth with less compression artifacts such as distortion, noise, or loss of quality. Okay, so I might just record at 320 from now on. Use it as is. Using a lower audio bitrate may be a reasonable compromise if the file size and bandwidth is a concern. Because YouTube does compress your video down, so it uses a certain amount of bandwidth, because YouTube is a business and they're trying to use as little bandwidth as possible to maximize their profit. And if your video is not causing or making them any profits and using a ton of bandwidth because some dude is like, okay, I'm gonna record at 1 million bitrate and at, I don't know, 320 audio, causing YouTube to certain videos would buffer for a while and other videos wouldn't. And that's the reason that sometimes YouTube takes longer to actually make the HD feature available, because it's recompiling and re-rendering your video. And I hope this video helped you figuring out what bitrate you should be recording at, as well as what tweaking each of these settings means. You can ask it, for example, keyframe interval of 2 seconds. What if I raise it to 5? What will happen to my footage? Like, you just can't ask it what certain things do, and it tells you, hey, you raise it to 5 seconds, then a standalone frame every 5 seconds, and all other frames of keyframe will be partial frames. And increasing keyframe interval can result in smaller file sizes, because the video encoder has to create fewer keyframes, which are typically larger than P frames or B frames. However, this can also make the video harder to edit in transcode, as there are fewer reference points for the video coder to use when decoding the video. In general, a keyframe interval of 2 seconds is a good balance between file size, editing flexibility, and quality. However, if you need to reduce the file size of your video even further, you could experiment with increasing the keyframe interval to 5 seconds or more. Keep in mind, this may result in lower quality footage and make video more difficult to edit and transcode. But 2 seconds is the standard we came up to. That explains why we have it at 2 seconds instead of 5. Sign up for free. You can use the standard version, which is Legacy. This is what you get. Default GPT is available for Plus users only, and that's the model that everyone else gets. They're both similar in giving you outputs. And now I'm going to go on about and making a video on GPT-4, why they keep lowering the caps and what it means to our prompting, so to say, prompting, what we have to expect to do now to prompt better. And even now they're saying expect lower caps next week as we adjust the demand. This demand was at 100 messages every 4 hours, then 50, and now it's 25 messages every 3 hours. I'm expecting 15 messages every 2 hours soon. So I will go into how to make each message as valuable as it can be, so you get the answers that you're looking for. For example, here we went through how many messages, just asking it a few questions. I asked it best settings for stream OBS for a video that I record for YouTube, 1080p. And then I asked it follow-up questions. And then another follow-up question that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I asked it 9 questions. I could have done all that in one if I just looked at this. And I could have saved 7 more messages if I asked it directly every single question that I had. Going from video bitrate, what happens if I increase it or lower it? Does my video resolution matter? What if I record on higher video resolution? Does the video bitrate has to match it? Stuff like that, like video encoder. What if I go to H.265? Or I would have realized, like I realized that, hey, I'm using NVENC. What's the difference? And it then started giving me only NVENC encoder further down. As you can see here, I recommended to use that NVENC encoder because I have the option to do so. It didn't know that I have NVIDIA. So I could have be like, hey, best settings for stream OBS 1080p 60 FPS. I could have avoided all these extra messages, and that's my goal for the next video, to help you generate a better prompt so you get all the information you need in one go, rather than splitting your questions across multiple messages and wasting the limit that you have to ask GPT-4. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video where we go into prompting GPT-4 correctly as they limit our access to it.